having to use my phone as a camera because my own webcam is having issues with Teams, but you can set up exactly how you want to set up, and then we can get started from your end.
All right. There we go.
Okay, can you get video on your end?
I think I can.
Okay, yeah, you can activate video. It's me who has to mainly be in presentation mode, so sometimes my video gets muddied just because of my connection. But yeah, I can see you. I saw you there. Let me put that on the live. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what's going on. Can this stop having issues, please? Okay, from your view, can you see a command to just send this directly into the live?
Yep.
Like your video. Yeah, you can click that from your end.
Okay.
Because I think it has to be done from yours, not from mine. I can actually. Is it working?
Okay. Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, let's see if it's going to show that in just. Okay, there we go. Great. So, okay, let's finally get started. So, hi everyone. Really sorry for all the technical issues that happened. It was mainly just getting set up with Teams and a lot of the rules that I had to follow in order for everyone to present properly. But finally, we can get started. So, welcome to our guest, Mr. Achim Munene. I'll still try and get our other guest to connect because it seems he's still having troubles on his end, but hopefully that can be sorted. But today's presentation is mainly about getting ready for employment or getting ready to work in the tech industry. So a lot of the people who are part of this are university students, different levels, right, who are part of this community, both from UZ and from Harare Institute of Technology. So all of us, as enthusiastic as we are about tech, which is partially what this whole community is about, we've obviously had some confusion or some issues, just partially because of where we are in Zimbabwe, partially because of even how the world is right now with the pandemic and everything, and partially just due to a lack of exposure of how we are actually supposed to go about going from someone who's learning programming, learning different technical skills, learning different jobs in the tech sector, and actually going to working for those jobs. Because especially now, it's not an easy case of just, I don't know, going and dropping a CV somewhere, which is how things usually work in Zimbabwe. It's a little different. So maybe we just wanted you to give us your experience, right, of how everything has been for you and how you got to where you are now. But of course, let's start with you just giving us a basic presentation, what you do. I'm sorry, a basic introduction, what you do, what you've been involved with, and yeah, anything you think that we should know about you.
All right. Thank you, Clint. Okay. Hi, guys. Even though I can hear you say hi back. Yeah, of course, like, as Clint has already said, and I guess also it might be written somewhere, but my name is Achim Munene. I'm a former software engineering student at the University of, the Harare Institute of Technology. Jesus. And I currently work as a software contractor consultant, rather, at the Internet AS, which is a Norwegian software development company in Oslo. I am not in Oslo because I always find that when I say that, people think that I'm in Norway or some sort. No, I work remotely primarily, and I've been doing so for 2 years now. I did have some experience working locally. I worked for a local company, Intelli Africa Solutions. I was there for, I think, 3 or 4 months. Then I started working for a South African company, that's Double I. There's a a Python consultant. I think for like another, was it 9 months on a project. Then after that, I got contracted again by Internet currently. That's where I'm now contracted at. So I've been mainly working with Python, although now I'm working more with Clojure and ClojureScript, which is a Lisp-based language, but it's just fun and complicated and scary to look at, but I enjoy it nonetheless. But yeah, I guess that's it. Done a lot of work with AI and ML with my South African contract that I was working on. So you have a little bit of experience with that. Then besides, yeah, I guess that's it. It's just me and my computer and working at home. So yeah, this is sort of my home office and stuff. So yeah, just work from here. So
okay, that's very interesting, especially now with everything going on with the pandemic situation and everything. You're one of those people who maybe didn't even have that much of a culture shift as far as working was concerned, because maybe how you've been working this whole time is how you're still working, right?
exactly. Yep.
Okay. Okay. And
yeah, go on.
oh, sorry. And I was saying that makes for a very, what's it called, interesting paradigm, even of like people to understand just the many ways you can work in tech, because a lot of people think, I don't know, they're going to be stuck in some huge office working with 3-4 monitors, lines and lines and lines of code. And don't get me wrong, that's definitely going to be there as well, but
I mean,
that's not necessarily.
If you get 3 monitors,
No.
you're lucky. You only get one monitor. If you get 3, you're lucky. You only get one monitor or none.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Strictly speaking, for the Zimbabwean market, is quite different from what we usually see on YouTube and Silicon Valley and all those. Yeah. So it's, I mean, when you're working here, I mean, the reality is you're not even going to get a work machine in some companies. I mean, you're going to be using your own laptop, unless if you start working for, I mean, the biggest guys like Afrosoft, Cassava as well. I think Kudzai will be able to, I mean, probably comment on Cassava and how those guys work. But for some of the smaller tech companies in Zim, you're most likely going to be using your own laptop. You'll be bringing your own laptop. Yeah, you bring your own equipment. If they have a monitor for you, then you're lucky. But the reality is, don't even think about it.
Sometimes you just have to bring your own device. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely agree. So maybe tell us about your journey in general. I mean, former HIT student, so great. Yay, go HIT. But how you went maybe from there to how you decided to choose specifically Python maybe, and what you're working on now. So maybe how you went from student to actually trying out for jobs. I'm assuming internship or your internship a year helped a lot. But even after that, maybe if you joined communities like this one, or if you worked with certain people, whatever it is that made things get to where they are now.
Okay, I mean, for me, Python, I started Python in high school, to be honest. It was still, Python 3 was still coming up, and it was mostly Python 2. So that's how I started. I was deep rooted into the Python world. I really enjoyed coding, and back in the day, we were doing, I think, Visual Basic and Access in high school.
Yeah.
So that didn't do much like programming to me, because I just felt like I was just dragging and dropping stuff onto the screen and just writing a few commands. What intrigued me was, algorithms, and we used to write pseudocode in high school for our computer science classes. I don't know if for other guys if it's still the same case, but when I was still in high school, we had that sort of, you'd write a pseudocode to make, I don't know, like ABS, uh, automatic doors or whatever, home monitoring
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
Yeah, so I felt like that was coding for me because I would write all that stuff down, and I'd really like that whole point of coming up with, the thought, the logic, and just going into Visual Basic and dragging and dropping stuff didn't feel much like coding. So that's when I actually started looking for programming languages, and I found C. C was kind of difficult, and my teacher
Yeah.
at that point, my
It's always a
teacher.
little difficult.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. It looked simple, right? It looked simple, like no cap. It looked simple, but to actually get it to work was difficult because I mean,
Yeah, because it's very
setting
low
it up.
level. So unless
Yeah,
if you're specifically working with low level devices, you might find it harder.
yeah, and I mean, it's again, you don't have people with experience to help you out, and I mean, these are the days
Yeah,
of we didn't have YouTube as you guys have it now. I mean, not like as you guys have it, like as we have it now. We didn't have a
yeah.
reliable connection back then, so I had to go to the cafe, download a bunch of scripts and instructions on actually how to run stuff, download the executable files, go back home, install them on my computer, and start running them and copying. I'd save the actual HTML files. So I had a what you call this hard drive full of HTML files and disks too.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how I
Okay, and
found out
that's how
about
you started, like from scratch.
yeah, from scratch, and that's how I then found out about Python because some person was talking about a simple language, and I was like, you know what, I want simple because I want to do stuff, right? So I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is a new language. So I started Python and, just mostly text-based interfaces. And it's been like that. And I just kept it in my tool belt till I got to uni. And in uni, that's when I really actually, because I was the one who was interested in web. I was really never interested in web. He enjoyed web stuff. And I wanted also to do web stuff because he was doing web stuff. And I was like, you know what,
Yeah,
let me
so
start doing web stuff.
people you have around you and your friends can be a very good, like,
Yeah,
motivator in just getting into things.
exactly. And if you still remember, me and Kudzai were like the only two computer science students at A level. So in upper
Wait,
six, I was like,
it was just the two of you? I thought it
yeah,
was like maybe four, but you guys were the serious ones or something.
no, it was just the two of us. It was just me and Chase. So I was like,
Wow.
you know what?
Okay.
Yeah, so it was more like we pushed each other to do stuff. And that's how I actually started into, web, looking into web frameworks with Python. I looked at Django. I didn't like it. I liked Flask more because back then I wasn't
Yeah.
writing code. Sorry?
Yeah, no. It's okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh yeah. Back then I wasn't writing code, from a perspective of I want to ship stuff quickly. I was writing code in the perspective of I want to make stuff that I have complete control over. And Flask just gave me that super amazing control over everything. I mean, I guess I'm a control freak, if you can say. So that's first year in uni, second year. I mean, it was just me just doing the same old thing. Then third year, that's when I went to attachment. I was actually applying to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Microsoft, and
That's
Google
good. I
also.
mean, you shouldn't aim low, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure we're doing the same thing. Kudzai was also applying to the same companies, and we all got rejected. Then Kudzai got a job at Afrosoft. I got a job at Zimta. Um, Zimta was nothing about. There was nothing there about code. It was mostly, IT stuff. I was playing with routers. I was playing with servers. I was playing with computers, printers, even installing Windows, Office, that kind of stuff. But then
Yeah.
it opened up a certain opportunity for me, which I always feel like, which I now also tell most people when they go into attachment, that look, if you're going to a company, in as much as you really want to go to a company that does tech, consider a company also that doesn't do tech, because at the end of the day, during your attachment, you all get the same time at attachment. For guys who work tech companies, they'll be writing code 24/7. If you're not working at a tech company, you have time to really explore tech in the way that you feel like you want to, So, for example, if you went to, if you're working for a company that does C#, right? That's it. Your life is now
you're stuck in C#.
You're stuck in C#, you see, and you might not like C#. For example, I don't like Java, right? And it would be risky for me to work in a company that uses Java,
Exactly.
So yeah, and so during attachment, that's when I really solidified my skills and started to join communities, in the Python community, the deep learning community, because I've always had an interest in machine learning. And during attachment, because also it gave me that time to really explore data science, explore machine learning, explore deep learning. And given that Zimta was a data, I didn't see that at first, but then when I got the skills, I then realized that, oh man, Zimta has a lot of data. Like, they had over 40,000 active members, right, at the time I was there. And I'm talking about these people, each and every person has records, each and every person transact on a daily with Zimta. So you have all that data and you're getting all that insight. You're trying to find out how many people will drop out of Zimta in 3 months, in the next month. I started making all those models, right? And
what a perfect place to start a machine learning model,
Yeah. So it's what started out as a internship actually turned out to be a dope one.
Because
I was introducing stuff that no one else was doing. People were using Excel. I was coming out with Python and TensorFlow based solutions, that were giving amazing results, great insights and all that. And, everyone liked that. And it is at that time where my boss, he really liked the way I was, hungry about code and all that. So he's like, you know what? I'll link you up with some of my old clients, my old days of consulting, and you can create some stuff for them. And pretty much,
that's really great.
Yeah, that's how I started becoming an independent consultant. I was contracted. I on attachment. I worked on a project. It was a membership management system for 3F. 3F is like it's an international organization for trade unions. So they support trade unions, and they wanted to have a management system for the member trade unions in Zimbabwe. So I developed that, web-based, pitched it, designed, developed, implemented, went there, installed it, trained the guys, and I really got that feel. And I was paid a huge amount of money. I was paid a lot of money. I don't want to lie, and that money was enough for me to pay my fees. My parents didn't pay my fees on attachment. I was like, guys, I can do this on my own now. My 4th year, they didn't pay anything. I did that on my own. And I had a little extra lift, go on vacation and do stuff. That was my first introduction to like money from, code. And from then on, when I got into part 4, I think my 4th year, sorry, I think my goals and focus were changed, totally diverted from looking into corporate, and I started looking into this whole freelance stuff. So I was always out there looking for consulting gigs and all that, And that's how I bumped into places like Indeed, Python Remote, because I was always on the Python. I was involved in the Python community, and from there we got some, links to some work outside the country, right? I got a contract. The first contract I got was in SA, and I was like, oh, this is actually cool. I know it's actually in the UK, then SA. So in the UK, it didn't actually work out as I wanted it to. The client then dropped out, but I had already gotten it, right? And I was like, oh, okay, this is great. And the other thing was I wasn't really good at Django at that time because I always thought, Django, why Django? So the reason the UK thing didn't go through was they wanted Django, and I didn't know Django at that point. I had no demonstrable experience of Django, even though I knew I could figure out Django in like 2 days, right? They're like, you know what, we can't give you this project. So that's how, again, it started to change me. So what you look at, or what we look at while we're in uni, or as developers, as geeks, as nerds, as you know what, is not necessarily does not directly translate to what the market needs, like what employers are out looking for. So in as much as I hate PHP, I hate PHP.
Yeah, to learn PHP.
It's I mean, you can't take away from it. There's a huge market for PHP developers, and you can easily
with things like WordPress and Wix out there and all these things that are, I think Squarespace also runs on PHP, so you just have to learn where the market trends are taking you, I guess.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what, cool. But then it also opened up me to a certain way of thinking again, which is, in as much as PHP is dominant, every language has a requirement and a use case, right?
True.
And there's a market for every language out there. So trust me, there's a market for C, there's a market for C++, C Sharps, Java, whatever, you name it. The whole thing is you need to know what the market needs, from that language. So pretty much if you're doing anything with Python, if you don't have Django somewhere in your toolkit, you're doing it all wrong. And which is what I was doing. Because I thought, well, I still believe Flask is superior, to Django, but the market doesn't need Flask, or the robustness of the market needs Django, and you need to pick up Django. So that's how I started picking up Django, and I got a South African contract. We developed a medical system. Well, the money wasn't good, but it was okay. I can't complain. It was okay. This is 4th year, by the way, and again, I wasn't really looking for a lot of money to buy me a car or take me out of the country. I just needed something to help me with my spending and all that. And
sorry if I can just maybe hold you for a second. So I'm enjoying just this whole part where there's a whole journey that's just based on all of this is still in university, if I'm not wrong. I mean, you've talked about high school stages, but this is essentially like stuff that you started learning from like your first year. You were on a 4-year degree, so first year, second year, then third year really opened you up to what you can do with the skills you had already acquired, namely Python. But then also now to the point where even after your attachment, you were still working on projects and you were still, actually being able to sort of sustain yourself in certain cases because you were working on said projects. Yeah, and I find that interesting because well, talking to people and working with people, I mean, I've gotten to see a lot of people just through this community. You get to a point where you realize people sometimes maybe, if it's in Shona and we're trying to talk about the Zimbabwean way, the usual thing that people are going to say is, you need to wake up, you need to start looking for money now and so on. And I don't know if I would say that even when you were learning Python and really getting into it, it wasn't necessarily just for money. I mean, yeah, of course, you definitely wanted to do something useful with it. You just learned it out of wanting to learn and wanting to know. And I like how that eventually just paid off, and it got to a point where, yeah, now the money is rolling in. But as you were saying, there's a market for whatever language you're learning. So learn the language or learn the skill, then look for the market. And you don't necessarily always have to run to this one is the one with the most money and so on.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's because it's choose your poison. In as much as you might want to chase around money, we all want money. I know that, but I believe that, I mean, if you chase something that you truly love or enjoy, you won't have a problem with it at the end of the day. It might not give you immediate returns, but it
True.
will. I mean, I started Python in high school. First year uni, I was doing Python. A lot of senior guys to me, were telling me, no, look into PHP. PHP makes you money and all that. But I just didn't enjoy PHP.
Yeah.
Throughout uni, everyone would be telling me, I was the Python. To be honest, I was the Python guy at HIT. I'm just gonna say this. I was the Python guy at HIT. I was the Python guy at HIT. I was the guy who would go to the lecturers and say, guys, let's use Python, right? I was the Python guy. People were always like, yeah, they had other. I was the only guy who was using Python at second year. That's second year we had project second year. I was the guy who was using Python, and I was the guy who was always coming up with Python and making arguments about why Python is cool and why everyone should use Python and all that. I was the Python guy. So I enjoy Python. Same thing with you. You might enjoy a certain language. Enjoy it. And then once you start enjoying it, find out the stack that the industry needs. Then make sure that you have that stack in your toolbox. Then you might not get money as quickly as someone who's using PHP might. But trust me, when you hit your jackpot, it will be good. Because for languages like PHP, these are languages that are popular. And trust me, we're at current standings, where a PHP developer earns X amount, I earn 3 or 4X, or even 10X sometimes, because of the quality of clients that I attract, because of the nicheness of Python, and the nicheness of Clojure. PHP, is for everyone else now, because I mean it's everyone's language. Everyone uses it. Everyone is happy with it. Everyone can develop in PHP. Every web developer knows PHP, right? So you get people saying, "I'll do a site for $50 or $100." But I can straight up say, what, I would charge 3,000 or 4 or even 5, or and the client would be like, cool, because of the nicheness of the market. It's Python. Not many people are Python developers. There's a few. A lot of people know Python. A lot of people talk about Python, but few actually, develop apps and ship apps with Python. So that's where it comes to enjoy what you do and try and just be good at it and be patient with it. Take time, the necessary time, to grow yourself up and build up competence with that particular skill that you have. Because when you actually branch off and get into the industry, you find out that you are actually way better than you thought you were. Like, you are actually really good. So that's it. I mean.
Okay. Yeah. I think that is really true. So maybe let's trace up from what's it called, from fourth year university to maybe now your early years, like just after university, right after you finish, not necessarily graduated, because HIT graduation is later anyway, and Most people start working just after. So maybe tell us how that went.
Okay, so that actually went quite good for me. I got contacted by Pact Publishing. They wanted me to do a course on Flask. I was doing a blog big then. I was running a blog on Medium on Flask, and they liked it, and they were like, we want you to make a course out of this, and they paid me for it. So this is now me towards exams, and exam period, I was not studying. I was busy making this course. And after,
I will say this: everyone should follow their dream, and everyone should definitely follow what they're into. But I'm not going to endorse not studying during your exam period. Okay?
Yeah, please study during exam. Study during exam. This is only only I can pull off. Yeah. So I'm like, after uni, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job for like a good 2 months, but then it was good again because I was working on my course, and I think after 2 months, that's when I got a job. I applied at Cassava. I applied at actually Kudzai gave me a link to Cassava because he was involved with Cassava at that point. Then I applied to this other company, TeleAfrica Solutions, and they employed me, and they gave me a contract immediately. So because they wanted to start doing Python and stuff like that, and I mean, I just got there, and I was like, yo, and they liked me, and yeah, I just got the job. So, and because also I really needed the money because I had left home. I was living on my own in Harare, and I just needed to be able to be self-sufficient at that point. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get the job. So I just got the job. It was a startup. There wasn't even much any structure. There were 3 developers, including me. And
I know it isn't a startup.
Yeah, and the pay wasn't that good, but I mean, it was just okay for me to pay for my rent, feed me, and get me to work every day. So I was like, let me just take this. So I took that, and throughout the period, I was stabilizing now. And at that point again, I was building up more competence in Python, in Django. And that's when my course was published. I think August. My course was published August, and in September I was invited to the Deep Learning Indaba in South Africa to present my whatever 4th year project. I did a self-driving cart, so they wanted that paper presented. So I sent it to them, and due to financial issues, I couldn't physically go there to present. But the fact that my paper was there, and there was just Achim Munene, software, whatever from Zimbabwe, a company.
That definitely went a long way, I'm sure.
Yep, a company found out about me, and they were interested, right? And at that point also, I was starting to get great online presence because I had a course again. So each time you type in Achim Munene, you get my name, get my LinkedIn. I think my Stack Overflow, I had a good Stack Overflow at some point because I was always, I would always wake up every day and make it a point to answer a question on Stack Overflow. Like every day, I did that for the entire year during my attachment. Just wanted to say that.
So the type of advice that you might get sometimes, which is always contribute to open source, always try and help as much as you can to the open source community. You had actually made that like a point. This wasn't one of those things where, I'll do it sometimes. You made it like a point.
Yes, okay. You need to. It's important because I'll tell you straight up, the way I've progressed to where I'm at right now has never, I might want to attribute to say, hey, no, or say, hey, I went to interviews. No, I just got called up. I got called up by Pact. They discovered me. I got called up by Double I. That's the South African company I worked for, starting December. they called me up. They're like, hey, we have a project, a Python project that we have. They primarily C#, I think, and they had a Python project, so they wanted me to work on it. I came through. I was the sole Python developer on that project. And this is me straight coming out of university. You know, this is December, soon after graduation. So I'm there. I'm working for this South African company for good 8 months, 9 months. I know I'm done with them with the project. It was a contract again, so it wasn't full-time employment. It was just a contract. I couldn't get full-time employment because I didn't have a work visa, a South African work visa, and the South African government or visa guys require that I have 2 years of working experience before post-graduation working experience before I can apply for a visa, a work visa. So I was like, you know what? I lose. So this is now me, 2019. My contract is just expired. I have no money. No, I had money. I'm lying. Because I was saving up. I was always saving up. That's the other good thing. I was always saving up because Zimbabwe, man, you just need to save up. So I had I had a good emergency fund also because the contract paid well. That was one thing. So they paid me good money, and that was awesome for me. So when they dropped me, I had good enough savings to last me for like 6 months, right? So I was now like, what am I gonna do? And just then, a company called me again, Rubium. This is a local company. They had a contract with StanChat, and they were doing chatbots. So they called me up to work for them. So this is me after losing my first job contract. I got a job. This is a permanent one, local, and it wasn't good. I didn't like it, to be honest. The money wasn't good. The environment was okay. The environment was okay. The people were good, but I mean, I don't blame the guys. They couldn't pay us as much as we wanted to be paid, also because of their startup, and stuff is not really good in them. So I was there for 2 months, and I got a call from the Norwegian guys. They're like, hey, we saw your profile. We're looking for developers in Zimbabwe, and would you be interested in having a sit down? So I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's have this. I had to sit down with them.
Any specific reason why they were looking for developers in Zimbabwe, or was it just?
Okay, so the current trend, an insider tip, why you should start looking into outside the country for jobs. It's countries outside of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe opens up a cheap labor force, So let me just pick a random number that will wow most people. Like, okay, not wow, but then will be cool with most people, like $1,000, right? So a company in Silicon Valley or America can pay you, they're supposed to pay you around 5,000, 3,000, right?
And that's their minimum wage, right?
That's their minimum wage if you're in the States, right? But then in Zim, you can pay me $1,000 and I'm good. Because
true.
Industry average people are getting like 300, 400, and you're getting $1,000 and you're like, oh, okay, and this is hard currency, right? So you're like, this is great. So companies outside are starting to come into Zimbabwe, looking into Zimbabwe to get developers, because we are not bad developers. We are good developers, and they're getting good developers who can get the job done, who are hungry for the work, and are not really egotistic, because Zimbos are not as we have big egos when it's us Zimbos, but then
dealing with other Zimbabweans.
Yeah, when you're dealing with your employers, work people, we are quite calm and easy to compel to do stuff. So that's another thing, and we really don't need that much money. So a company can, for one employee in the United States, where they're paying 3,000 to 5,000, they can pay us. They can pay 3 to 5 people in Zim, right? So that's the same thing with Norwegian company, because Norway, especially Oslo, has high cost of living, and the minimum salary is like is it above, should be 50,000 krona, and 50,000 krona, that's like roughly 5,000 US dollars. That's the minimum salary, right? And
Yeah,
it's expensive. And and people in Norway, unlike everywhere else, people in Norway are not actively hungry for jobs, because even if they don't get jobs, even if they're not working, the government will still give them money to survive.
exactly.
So it's harder for smaller companies to survive in Norway, because the labor force is very expensive, and the labor force is not really thinking on, people are not really moved by, low pay or whatever, or stories. People just want to be paid good enough money, because if you can't pay them, the government will, you see. So they're starting to, and I think it's the same case around Europe, because the people in Europe get the economies are great, and they're set up in that way. So European companies are starting to invest more in getting workforce in India, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, these African countries. So I happen to get on their radar because of my course with PACT. That's how they managed to pick me up. And I got an interview. I aced the interview, and then they gave me the job. So at that point, I actually got a job while I was still working at another company. So I had to terminate this guy's contract and start on these new guys. And and that has been me till now. 2020 going to 2021. I'm still here.
Okay. It's a huge story. I love how this stuff sort of builds off of each other, though, especially considering you what's it called? Especially considering you did half of this stuff, not even really knowing it's going to go that far, right? I have a friend. He's in Nigeria. Very similar story of he also started a blog on Medium, and that's actually given him a lot of distance learning jobs. He's even gone to make a YouTube video of it, but still, I find how interesting it is that it's really more about just following a certain amount of passion, following a certain amount of just working at what you like or what you're good at. Because you might not necessarily, as you were talking about, you love Flask, but the industry didn't need Flask, but you were at least good enough at Django to keep going with Django. So you built that up. You worked on what you were good at. You were also lucky enough to work on what you loved, and even stuff that seemed like it was for free. Because let's not lie, building a media blog is not going to give you any money. It's a fact.
Okay. That's true. Yeah.
Even more so when you're here in Zim, maybe you don't have data all the time. You don't have internet access all the time. People are going to be looking at you being like, dude, why are you wasting your time doing that? But it did go on to pay off, because especially I think as far as the Medium blog and impact is concerned, it kind of built up and spiraled into this whole course of things. And it's amazing how that's actually been so beneficial for you this long after. And maybe, sure. No. Say what you want. It's okay.
Oh no, I wanted to say, it's the thing about the tech industry and our industry is, you will do a lot of stuff for free, and that's how you profit. Most people don't get that, but that's how you actually profit. By helping more people out, by pushing more, contributing to open source, writing, sharing your knowledge. Because trust me, there are a lot of people. You might think about it and say, what would I write about? There's a lot of people struggle with a lot of things. Like till today, I'll tell you this. Like, I don't even know how to install Python on a new computer. Like, each time I don't know how to install Python on a new computer.
How?
Yeah, like if you give me a Windows PC right now, I'll look for a blog on how to install Python on a PC. Like that's how it is, you know. Like even on my Mac right now, I have had I have my laptop is always telling me of space issues, right? And I don't format it because I'm afraid of losing all my configs. And my biggest fear is I don't know how to reconfigure everything to where it is now. You know?
No.
So
It's very hard setting up a dev environment. I know. Every time I move to a new PC, I mean, okay,
yeah,
look at how long it took us to get Teams running. Okay, and this is supposed to be the easy stuff.
exactly. You see? So there's a lot of stuff that people struggle with. It's not also about struggling. It's some people want an easy guide. Because I want to tell you right now, people think that you need to know everything. No, you don't need to know everything in code in this industry. I don't even know how to set up Nginx. Like, well, I do, but I don't know how to write everything like from scratch. If you give me a blank file and ask me to write the whole server block, whatever, I can't do that. I have recipes for that. So I have one file that I just modify over and over and over and over and over and over again. But if you say write it from scratch, I won't be able to, right? When I get into the server, I have a DigitalOcean link that I use each time to install Docker on Ubuntu and Docker Compose, because I don't need to remember or be an expert at installing stuff, you know? I just need a way to install stuff that works. So if you have a way of setting up, say, for example, deploying Django, trust me, a lot of people don't know how to deploy a Django application. So if you know how to deploy a Django application, just write up a recipe, you know, just write up a recipe in simple steps. Put up a specific environment you want to deploy on this particular server. This is what you need, A, B, C, D, and D. This is what you use. Give it out to people. And, you know, stuff like that, just small stuff, you know. You don't need to write super technical stuff like you want to write about Django 3 channels and ASGI, or you want to write about, I don't know, concurrency, parallelism, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's fine. It's fun, but trust me, people need help with the simplest of stuff. You know, like
it's so true.
Yeah, setting up Django templates. No, just write out a blog on how to set up Django templates and static files and see how much you get, traction you get. Sorry, I'm just being biased with Django, but
I get it. You're talking about your, you know, what you know, right?
Yeah.
Which is the whole point of this anyway. Talk about what you know.
Yeah. So it's funny that each time I look into the Python group, the Zim Python group, the same questions, the same stuff that I'm telling you right now, these are the questions that are always being asked by people, you know? People are not that advanced. People just want the simple stuff. People need help with the basic stuff. You know, like someone doesn't even know what the difference between class-based views are, what class-based views are, and what function-based views are. You need to explain to them, you know? Some people are not coming from a computer science background, which is what you notice with most people. Most people are self-taught, and they might not have that strong object-oriented programming fundamentals, you know, or background. So some of these concepts might not really click as easily as they do to us, right? So writing out simple blogs on that's how you start. You know, just write simple blogs on that, YouTubes on that, and you know, bit by bit, soon enough, you become everyone is referring to you for knowledge. I mean, it's just that simple.
And you build a whole career out of it.
Yeah, and you build a whole career out of it. And the thing is, I know people think about it. The problem with Zimbos is we want to be the best at something. yes, you need to be the best. Be the best at what you do, right? Don't try to be better than someone else. Be the best at what you do. That's the whole point. Not trying to be better than another person. And if you look at how the internet community or how our industry is set up, our industry, people who are good at what they do profit, and it rewards, our industry rewards, the internet rewards people who are good at what they do. Not people who are trying to be better than other people. Look at Marcus, MKHD. I mean, looking at MKHD's videos, you'll be like, wow. In his reviews, I am a fan. I'm a big fan, and you're like, wow. I don't think anyone else can top this. But then you have your average consumer. He brings a different point of view, and he's profiting. You have Super Saf. He's bringing a different perspective, and he's profiting. These are three guys who are really doing, great stuff. They're not trying to be better than each other. They're just you have Lou with Unbox Therapy. He has his own vibe. So I can watch. It's funny, and I'm always laughing. People are always laughing at me because I'm such a YouTube junkie. I can watch the same iPhone 12 review. The same iPhone 12. I watch how Lou on Unbox Therapy reviews it. I watch how Marquez reviews it. I watch how Super Staff reviews it, and I watch how your average consumer reviews it. And sometimes I'll watch what's her name? The chick. Okay. Yeah. I'll watch her as well.
I know. I do the exact same thing. I make a business out of this. Okay, the Zimbabwean Perspective literally does review roundups, and that's like seeing 5 people's reviews, deciding which one is the most applicable to Zim, and then just posting it on there. So yeah, I totally get it.
You see, so never be held back by the fact that someone else is already doing that. Yeah, someone else is already doing that, but then they're not you. They have their own view, they have their own way of doing things. Do it the way that you.
And creativity is always rewarded in this industry if you know just how to implement it.
Exactly. Just it's people say, how do I? There was a question of how do we provide to open source. Open source community. The simplest thing to do is contribute to open source. We always think of contributing to open source as writing a new library or modifying code that's already there. Start by modifying the documentation on Django. There's the Polls app. There's the Polls tutorial. Make a new one and post it there. That's how you contribute to open source. You don't need to get in there and do the big stuff. We can get in there and do the big stuff, get in there and just spell check everything. Yeah, just do that. Go in, spell check. Just spell check.
They should fix those.
Yeah, spell check, because it's spell check, grammar, correct the grammar, format, all that kind of stuff. The more you get used to it, because the thing about us failing to contribute, or anyone failing to contribute to open source, is the fact is you don't actually know or understand how the library works in the first place, and you might not be able to to read through the code and make sense of it, maybe because of your level or your understanding of code. But you can learn more about how it actually works by reading through. Get into the documentation, find that one thing that you feel like, I always use this class, but the documentation does not do a good job at really explaining how this is and what it is and how it should work. Go there, look for it, and write documentation on that and push it.
Exactly.
Yeah, make a pull request. That's it. You've already contributed to open source. You do that once, do that twice, do that thrice, keep on doing that, and it becomes a habit. And before you know it, you're now, you're an open source. You're getting in a Oktoberfest t-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe I don't know. Let's try and round this up and wrap it up well. If you say, well, let's actually start with a few questions that I got. I got a few. So let's start here. One person just went up and straight up said, and please, for anyone else who's listening, there's a question and answer section. A lot of you, I think, are using the phone app, so it's like right at the top right. There's like these two chat box like thingies. Just write whatever you want there. Ask a question. Ask whatever you think is necessary. It can be as complicated or as simple as you want it to be. Because I mean, the first one I'm going to read here, someone who's written as anonymous, said, right, so would you encourage us to start vlogs? That was their question.
Yes, I would encourage everyone to start a blog. I mean, starting a blog is the easiest way to get yourself out there. It's also an easy way for you to get jobs. The one thing that most people ask, soon after coming out of university, you don't have work experience. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And you need to show demonstrable, capability. You need to show them that you are able to do, or you actually know about what you're talking about. If they're saying that you're a web developer or whatever, show them. And the easiest way to show someone that you can do this is by saying, hey, I worked at so and so's company. But then if you've never worked, you're coming straight out of uni, you don't have that experience, right? So you can't do that. So you need to look for alternative ways of, luring people and showing them that, hey guys, I might not have worked for a person, but I actually know what I'm talking about. And blogs are a good way of it, because in a blog you actually explain something, you show off your understanding about something, and you accompany those blogs with code snippets. It also helps them with code reviewing your code and just seeing how well you write code and stuff like that. And all that, that's it. So yes, start a blog. Everyone should have a blog.
Okay, everyone should have a blog. Medium is about to have an influx of users, I guess. Next thing is, any other languages you'd want us to try besides Python?
Okay. Any other languages? This really depends on what you want to do. So I'm not really that guy that tells you, no, this language, this language, this language. But off the top of my head, I would say front end. Okay. First of all, know what you want to do. If you want to really get into web development, there's Ruby, give it a try. There's Clojure, give it a try. There's Rust or whatever, give it a try. There's Go, yes, there's Go. That's the one I was thinking about. I'll really say give that a try. Then if you're all into mobile apps and all that, obviously Swift, Kotlin, give that a try. React Native, give that a try. If you're into front end, or rather, if you have no idea what you're doing, if you're starting out code and you don't know what to do back end or front end, I'd say if you don't know what to do between back end and front end, start with what you call this, go into front end. And when I say front end, I don't mean like CSS only and stuff like that. I mean, get into front end frameworks, Vue, React, Angular, Node. Do that. There are few people who are doing that currently. Clojure script. There are few people who are writing that. There are few competent front end developers out there. And if you are out there and you're still learning and you're trying to find where you fit in, I'd say start with the front end. Don't worry about the back end. Get into front end, because back end is saturated. Back end, you're competing against older people, because trust me, all those guys, Wainyora Fortran, Wainyora Kobo, they went into backend. All those guys, Wainyora Java, Wainyora C, they went into backend. So get into front end, because front end is new. React was created just a few years ago. So it's bringing in new ways of thinking. Mind you, jQuery, which is the standard, which became a sort of a standard of how front end works, or building blocks, the modern front end, was introduced in 2010, right? And up to now, it's now obsolete. No one uses, no competent companies are using jQuery. People are now using React, Vue, Angular, ClojureScript, that kind of stuff, right? So get yourself in the front end, build yourself up in the front end space, and work yourself down. So once you've figured out front end development, then get into developing backends. And also the good thing about front end is you get a more complete stack, because if you're doing JavaScript based front ends, you can easily get into stuff like the min or the mean stack, and you can quickly create stuff. You can create your backend with Node, Express, and all that stuff connected to and start working. Have prototypes up and running. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Okay, so you actually got quite a few. Okay, so one person asked, what's the name of your blog? You can even give us a link, and I'll definitely write it up here. I can actually do a quick search for it and then paste.
Currently, it's I don't think it's up. It's thecloseembrace.com. It's not yet up.
Okay.
But you can look at my Medium articles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Medium ones, where can I find them? Maybe just quickly search them and find them.
Okay, let me just get them. Medium.
I think I actually found it, Achim Munene, right? Achim.Munene14.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, great. Let me actually copy a link there. I'll put it in the question and answer section, just like I was putting the links. Okay, so there we go. I'll share it in the groups again. Anyone who wants to check this out on the WhatsApp and WhatsApp groups for both communities, you can find them there. Okay, then the other one is, let's see. And what about joining tech community? I guess they're asking if that's a good idea.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you're watching this through a tech community, just saying.
You want to be try to get yourself involved in tech communities. They're helpful. You get exposed to different people. They have different things that are going on. Oh, by the way, I just put out a link to my course, so if you want that also, if you want to buy it, yes, please go and support your boy.
Awesome.
Yes, we're having a promotion, so I think we put it like $5. So it used to be $124, so we have running a promotion. It's like $5 now. So anyway, I was saying that it's a good thing to be part of a community. Remember, the tech environment is all about communities. Tech, you cannot be in tech in isolation. My favorite company in the world, Microsoft, learned this the hard way. I love Microsoft, man. I love Microsoft. I don't know. I just love Microsoft.
Don't get me wrong. I didn't think you hated them. I remember Jacinda hates Microsoft.
Yeah, Jacinda hates Microsoft.
I just got million messages of like, you see, Teams took us an hour to set up. This is why I hate Microsoft.
Chase hates Microsoft. He's a Google guy, but I love Microsoft, and they've learned. It has costed them a lot, not being part of a tech community, not being active in the tech community. And now they're trying to regain the confidence of the developers. I mean, now people, to be honest, developers around the world hate Google more than than Microsoft. So Microsoft is now starting to become a friendly face in the tech community.
Yeah, it's been doing that, I think, for the past 5 years now. They've really been embracing more and more people. I mean, you can run Linux within Windows, for its sake.
Yeah,
If there's anything that proves friendliness, it's that.
It's that, and don't get me started on VS Code. I mean, that's the best. That's the best ever. So yeah, you need to be part of a community, because once you're part of a community, you get ideas, you get connections too. That's one thing. You know, when you look at the business side of this thing we do, or the economic side of this thing we do, you need networking, and you need to network with people first that you know. Like, to be honest, if you're really good, like you're good at what you do, you might be better than me, you know, but I'll never know you, and people will never know about you because you're in isolation. The reason why people think that Achim is some Python guru, whatever, it's because I'm just vocal, you know, in these groups. I go there to the meets, and people happen to be there more junior to me, you know, than me. And so when they see me, they're like, "Oh, this guy knows his stuff." But
and then they go out and spread the word.
And they spread the word, you see. But then there might be actual people who are more senior than me out there that don't show up to these events. They never will get that accreditation because we don't know them. You know, people don't know them. You see, that's the point.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, for me, it's similar. Just joining all these things. I mean, now being a student ambassador, I'm now working on getting more and more people around Zimbabwe to just join this program, because really it's all about, like, people think you have to be this super software guru. A lot of people think I'm some super software guru. Look, I'm not terrible, but I'm not great. I know that I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm just, you know, doing what I can while I go. But Microsoft doesn't care about that. Even when I used to work with Google Developer Student Clubs, they don't really care about how amazing you are. It's more about how willing you are to build a community and introduce more people to new things. I mean, for these communities, and right now, especially student ambassadors, just because of how many things I can jump into, has made me check out a lot more things that I would never have checked out if I hadn't just decided to put myself out there. So it's actually been like an interesting effect of, like, I've gone from knowing a little to knowing a lot more just because I've decided to show the little that I know.
That's true. Yep. So
yeah. So yeah, no, please speak.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to say, don't run away from communities. Join communities. Be in all of them, actually. If you're still in uni, if you haven't figured out, look, don't run to say I have my stack. If you haven't figured out on a stack, join all communities. Be in the front-end group, be in the WordPress group, be in the Python group, be in the React group, be in the Angular one, be in every group, be in the data science one. Join every community. Find out what you like, you know, and also just be known, you know, just be known.
Yeah. True. So there's actually quite a few questions mounting now. So the first one is, sorry, but what's a stack?
Oh, okay.
We've got everyone in this group. Okay, some people are complete beginners, some people are more advanced. Yeah. So let's start here.
A stack is pretty much that, a stack, you know, stuff stacked on top of each other. But in terms of in the tech world, these are now technologies, you know, stacked on top of each other. So it's like you have the objective is to accomplish something. So if you're building a burger, you have the bigger, what you call those bigger buns.
At the bottom, bun.
Yeah, you have the salad, you have the bigger patties, you have the cheese, you have the I don't know, guacamole or whatever. Then that's it. That's a stack, right? So depending on
all together.
Yeah, depending on the burger, you have different stacks. So you might have an egg burger, or a bacon, cheese bacon, or beef burger, or chicken burger. Just means that what's changing are the ingredients. So a stack is more of an ingredient list to your technologies or how you build your application to an application. So if an application is developed primarily by, you have a backend, so you have backend, you have front end. So if you have a backend using Django, then you have a front end using, say, React. That's the stack. Your stack has Django, Python, React. That's your stack. But there are some standardized stacks like mean stack, which is Mongo, Angular, Express, and Node. Then you have the main stack. Yeah, I mean, you can look them up. It's just a fancy word or acronyms to just summarize the stuff, the technologies that are being used. But personally, a stack for you could be the technologies that you use to accomplish. So if I say, I want you to make me a to-do app, a simple to-do app, what would you use? That's your stack. So if you say, I'm going to use WordPress, that's your stack. I'm going to use this, that's your stack. So it's a list of technologies that you use to actually develop something from start to finish. That's your stack.
All right. Then the next question is, how can I join your course?
You can just go on Pact, just send the link again, just click on it, you access it directly there. There's Pact's Pub, you should be able to pay monthly membership, or you can buy it for forever. Yeah, but pretty much you just follow the link and it's easy from there on.
Okay, then the next one, let's see here, is why do you focus on Python only? C# is great for web, and Java too. Why Python only, or I guess why Python specifically?
Okay. The reason why I work with Python specifically is, startups are not going to be using C# or Java. I'm sorry. So if I'm a startup, if I'm making my startup, or if you're going to consult me to help you choose a stack for your startup, I'm not going to ask you to use Java or C#. Why? Because those languages are heavy, one, so they need resources. Two, they are, I wouldn't want to say they require more stuff to do. Yeah, they get the job done, but trust me, running a Java stack is difficult. And if you're a startup, you're not going to be doing that. So you want something that's simpler. Python is simpler. There's Ruby too. I just prefer Python. But if you're working, and also as an individual, so basically this is how I make my decisions on how I pick up the technologies I want to work with, because I want to work with startups. I want to work with smaller companies or mainstream tech, as I call it. So I differentiate the industry in these terms. You have startups, mainstream tech, and you have corporate. If you're working with corporate uses Java, C#. That's corporate, right? For web. Then if you're working with mainstream tech, they're not even going to be using that. They're going to be using Python or Ruby or even JavaScript. That's mainstream in startups, because these languages allow you to create applications and prototypes quickly. So personally, my objective, or what I always try to make sure is, I want to make sure that I'm able to create applications as quickly as possible, because I waste more money. So if I have an idea today, in a space of 30 days, I should have an MVP. In a space of 30 days, I should have an MVP that I can give you and say, hey, look, test this out. Why? Because if I take 5 months developing one thing, I'm wasting time and resources. I have ideas coming in every day. I have ideas coming in every day. There are other people with bigger teams. They might take me, like people always complaining about Econet and how they steal ideas. The thing is, you go to Econet and you tell them why you don't have something online, why you're developing it. Develop something, put it out there, make it talk, Then you see if Econet will copy it. They might, but then they've already won the people's hearts. So you want something that is easy to get out there, easy to maintain, and of course, Python does suffer when it comes to scalability, as opposed to Java and C#, which are very good at scale because of their speed. But trust me, you know, it will be quite a long time till you get to that problem when you actually need to start worrying about scalability and performance in that respect. Yeah.
So the last person who had asked was asking about links to Python groups in Zimbabwe. I sent a few. Hopefully they help them out. If you feel you still have any other questions, you can send them to my WhatsApp. I think most people in this talk have my WhatsApp number, so that should be fine. Okay, Mr. Achim, where can we find you, man, besides Medium? I mean, I guess maybe a Medium probably has some of your other details. I don't know. Anywhere else you can find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really use Twitter that much. I'm not saying that people don't use Twitter. Twitter is actually a very good place to be. I just suck at Twitter. That's what I'm trying to say. But you can look me up on LinkedIn. I've just posted there. You can check out my GitHub too if you want. I have some pretty interesting stuff there. Let me just share it again. I have some pretty interesting projects that are there that you could pick up on or modify or use for, I don't know, various reasons. Play around with whatever. It's and I'm always. I mean, I'm on WhatsApp as well. I mean, I'm a Zimbabwean guy. I'm not some big shot or whatever. So, you know, you can always send me a WhatsApp message. I can talk to you there. I think I'm on Instagram too, but I mean, Instagram is different. It's totally unrelated to all this. So yeah, those are primarily where you can get to connect with me. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Really, I appreciate all the time that you put into this. I appreciate the patience with everything that happened at first. But thank you so much for sharing your time. People were logging in and out, in and out, in and out. Some were contacting me in the WhatsApp group. There'll be a recording for this for those who weren't able to stay online, so that'll be better. And of course, unfortunately, I'd actually hit you up a lot on Twitter, but I will make a student ambassadors LinkedIn group. Actually, I haven't done that. I should do that. I mean, Microsoft owns LinkedIn. What am I doing? But yeah, I'll create something. Definitely send you the links of the recording and everything. But thank you so much for your time. Mr. Jacinta said maybe another time because he had to go somewhere. But yeah, we'll set this up and we'll definitely make it easier for people to join it next time.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone who joined. For all the people who are from different communities, I know the UZ community guys definitely logged on. Make sure to be in touch. We will send more details in the WhatsApp groups, I guess. And we'll see about making a Teams group just for the people involved in Microsoft Student Ambassadors. But thanks so much for joining, everyone. Thanks so much again to Achim for being our special guest. And yeah, I think we'll call it a wrap for today. Okay. Sure, man. No problem.